Tonight on the Goblin's Corner.
Kuo-toa And Sahuagin.
That's how we roll. 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 Welcome to the Goblin's Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
we're doing Kuatoa And Sahuagin.
Spring Break edition, guys.
Indeed. Terror from the deeps.
Yeah, a little Piranha 2, Piranha 3.
Jaws.
The Piranha-ing action. And Jaws, yeah, of course, Jaws.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, Creature from the Black Lagoon, of course. So we've got two fish creatures from D&D, basically first edition.
Yeah.
All through the ages. We're going to give you guys a little bit of thematics. We're going to give you guys a little history lesson on why these are awesome creatures and some ways to upgrade your Kuto and Selhagen.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot.
No, because they've got a lot of cool stuff to them, but they don't give enough love.
No.
And we'll show you how to make them even more better. But before we get to that.
Question of the week, man.
All the time. So what do we got for the question of the week?
All right. Well, Sahagan have a telepathic connection with sharks.
They do.
What deep sea creature would you want to be rocking as a mount or guard animal?
Deep sea creature.
Now, understand, these come from a fantasy setting, so it's got to be an animal type creature, but it can be a fantasy animal.
Well, that puts a different spin on things, because if it was a regular animal, I would have to say the original Kraken, the giant squid, would be my first choice.
Sure.
But if it's not that, then I would say dragon turtle.
Dragon. That is not an animal.
I mean, he's kind of like, he's got animal features.
He is more intelligent than most people.
All right, fair enough.
Look at you trying to
How
cheat
about a
with your-
hippocampus?
Sure. Nothing wrong with that.
A little water horse action going on?
Yeah.
You don't see much hippocampus love.
No.
I mean, even the sea elves don't ride them anymore. Merfolks like them.
Yeah, as they should.
As they should. Magnificent animal. Grazing on, I guess, kelp.
Seaweed.
Yeah, seaweed and kelp. Yeah.
For me, in the real world, you and I both know there's only one correct answer.
Yes.
Like actually correct. And that's an orca.
Mm-hmm. Because killer whales are deadly.
Yeah. Look them up. They are far more awful than you think. But foregoing that, I would grab the dire, right? Just as a
Dire anything?
Yeah, as a premise, I'd grab that dire and I'd slap it in front of something.
Like walrus. Yeah. Think about that.
I mean,
It would be like a big plated Wilford Brimley. Diabetes.
It's awful, but not the direction I was going to go.
Ah, well, that's where I'd go. Flaming manatee, perhaps?
A dire electric eel or moray.
Yeah.
Because the mouth of a moray is already just god-awful.
How about a dire anglerfish?
The problem with anglerfish is how deep they are native to.
It's true. How about a dire starfish? Think about that. That would be neat.
Yeah.
The dreaded dire starfish.
A dire blue-ringed octopus. Let's just be awful.
Yeah. Once again, a kraken.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, blue-ringed octopi are small.
Oh, they're like this big?
Yeah, they're...
What are those cute little things with the little butterfly wings, the octopi that are, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Oh, my God. They're a type of cuttlefish.
I want one of those.
They are so cute.
They really, if we were in an ocean setting,
yeah,
I would totally have one of those.
I mean, that would make the best,
familiar,
most adorable familiar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Or one of the octopi that can walk on land and they walk on two tentacles, but they curl up their other tentacles around them and it looks like they're holding their skirt up while they run. If you haven't seen that video, I'll show it to you. It's freaking adorable.
You need to show that to me.
It is silly how cute that is.
Are you an oceanographer, or perhaps you wear a skirt? Write to us, info@goblinscorner.com, or you can reach me, Eric@goblinscorner.com, or
me, Matt@goblinscorner.com.
And of course, you could find us on all the things.
Indeed. Mostly Twitter.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Kuto and Selhagen.
Okay.
First off, what's up with both of these fish creatures, Matt?
why are we having an episode on them aside from the fact that they don't get enough love? And they don't.
That is the primary reason, is because they don't get enough love. They're too great oceanic or aquatic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could do them in fresh water.
They're both subterranean,
Mhm.
one fresh, one salt. They're both fish creatures, both evil.
Yep.
For the most part.
Largely, they are portrayed as one-dimensional villains. Like, they are written as a species as the bad guys.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong to play bad guys in a D&D or whatever game.
Right.
Pathfinder as well. But we feel that being one-dimensional doesn't mean they should be flavorless.
Right. And in some cases, there are very specific reasons why they're bad guys.
Because they're pissed off. Many reasons to be pissed off. You'll learn them very shortly.
Yes.
So they don't get enough love. And that's why we decided to do this. Plus, it's Spring Break Edition. We thought it'd be amusing to people going to the beach. You know,
Tears from the deep.
Tears from the deep.
You got to do it.
Yeah, two fish folks. So let's talk a little bit about Kuatoa.
Okay.
And kind of give us a little standard definition that we might have looked up on Wikipedia or a fan page and conglomerated it together into a better definition of what these creatures are.
All right. Well, first off, they're also known as gogglers.
Gogglers.
And minfish. Not fishmen, minfish.
That seems a bit sexist to me.
That's fair. I can see that. Kuatoa are a debased, evil species of amphibious fish people that lived in the Underdark.
Now, these are generally described as about 5 foot tall, kind of pot-bellied in many depictions. Like they kind of look like couch potatoes, like couch potato with fish heads, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat dumpy looking. They got the big heads, you know, and depending upon what version, sometimes they're regular size and sometimes they look like big ass fish heads with the big teeth and stuff, and scaly humanoid bodies. And sometimes, I think it was 3rd or 4th edition made them look like frogs.
Yeah. And they've always got spindly arms and legs. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of wimpy looking. Which, I mean, yeah, I get it.
Have you ever seen swimmers?
Yeah, they're muscly. They're filled with muscle.
Indeed. And if you've got to move that big blocky head around all the time,
you're going to have some muscles.
Yeah,
some leg muscles, some arm muscles. Or why are you so, wimpy looking? Who knows? Maybe they have a poor diet.
Could be. Or maybe they don't swim. Maybe they just walk along the bottom most of the time. They're just like, dope. It could happen.
Like some roommates we've had. They're often depicted as evil, as you mentioned, but what are some other qualifications that they might have as well?
Well, we mentioned debased.
Debased, yeah. So that's definitely a 1st edition term there.
Right. Sadistic.
Mm-hmm. Which they are. They do some horrible things.
Right. Mad, in quotation marks. Now, this is not the catch-all madness. This is the very Lovecraftian style madness.
Yeah, they've been exposed to strange geometries and figures from places that you should not see.
Yes. Every one of them was born when the wrong star was rising, right?
There's been some ridiculousness going on, and their heads are scrambled because of it.
Yes. So generally, those are the kinds of descriptions they catch.
But there's a lot more interesting things we've noticed over the versions as well. So first off, they could also be monstrous. They could be aberrations, depending upon the depiction. And sometimes they're monstrous humanoids or various other things as well.
I think that's partially because, for one thing, they play around with those categories amongst editions. But also, when they're aberrations, they lean more thematically towards the Lovecraftian side, right? And when they're monstrous humanoids, they lean more towards this is the evil version of sea elves, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're being set against a specific set of people.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. What are some other descriptions and qualities that these Kutoan have?
Their descriptors get a little, they tossed them in a blender, right? And then just poured them on the page because they are simultaneously rubbery,
slimy,
Scaly,
Oh,
they change color.
that's true. It depends on their mood. They're default till I think silver, and it kind of fades,
Yes.
and then they can change color if they get pissed off.
They're-
Very
they-
simple society if you know when someone's mad.
It's true, but that description for a biological creature is mind-altering. So you've got the skin of an octopus, a fish, and a frog all at once.
Yeah.
You just rock
And-
it. Let's do it.
Depends on the version. They're also essentially the deep ones from Lovecraft, which is pretty much where I think Gygax got this from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They're squamish.
In terms of lore, they've been around since, as we mentioned, first edition. So the Shrine of the Kuto in 1978, Fiend Folio in 81.
And from the get-go.
They've been bad.
Yeah. They are half-mad religious zealots, descendants of a once great race that was pushed deep underground many years ago.
That's a trope right there if I ever heard one.
Yeah, I mean, they're drow before there were drow.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Depending upon the edition, they were plagued by mental instability, and the causes could be anything from they were cursed by some dark gods, it was because they degenerated from their societal collapse, or it could even be something like they got into a war with the Illithids, and the Illithids made them crazy.
Yes.
Just hit them with too many sonic blasts and scrambled their brainwaves.
Also in lore, they revere Blibblebulp.
Yeah, blibdobulp.
Blibdobulp.
Blibdopulp.
That word. Mm-hmm.
The sea mother.
Yes. The bubbly mom. Because
Now-
that's what it reminds me of, is the bubbles coming out of a
Oh, yeah.
scuba.
Now, the sea mother is a really interesting creature because she doesn't really look like a Kuatoa.
Right. Right.
She's got a female form,
Mm-hmm.
mostly. Got a lobster head, lobster claws,
Mhm.
and a shell covering her shoulders. And I think the rest of it is Kuatoa. So I kind of feel like this is sort of you know how in Egyptian mythology they've got like the animal heads?
Right.
So this is that version, but for Kuatoa.
I can see that. The other question is this
Why lobster?
the iteration of where chuls come from?
Ooh, that's an interesting point. And I never heard that. I'm going to use that in my lore.
Okay.
Maybe they're just like butter.
Could be.
Yeah.
Fine.
Now, some versions had them revere Dagon,
Once again,
going back to
Straight to the
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft.
Yeah, and I think Dagon was actually was an abyssal tyrant as well too. Their madness causes them to invent and worship deities as well, and that's a really cool kind of flavor lore. And sometimes, if they believe hard enough, they might become real.
yes. That is something that has been standard throughout. Well, you know what? We'll get to that. Let's not.
We'll get back to that in
Yeah.
just a few moments. What are some other interesting things about Kuatoa?
Well, first off, they are organized by feudal theocracies that are ruled by a priest king. And that's the Vaipulgul.
Yeah. Now, most people, if they've played D&D, probably recall the whips and the monitors, but there's
Mhm.
also a couple other ones. So there's lashes and whips. Lashes are like the minor clergy. Whips are like the regular clergy.
Yep.
And then monitors are their warrior monks.
Yes.
What you guys to think about that? A fish warrior monk.
Yes.
Yeah. Get fish slapped to death.
Now, the way I would go about that, just as a quick, you could obviously do warriors, or you could do monks, or you could literally do warrior monks, where you multiclass them.
Oh, that would be badass.
Because a monk with second wind is just
Devastating.
gross. It's so bad.
Big old rubbery, scaly, slimy, sticky fish fist into the face. Talk about alliteration, folks. In addition to that, they have pincher staves. And
Yes.
those things are cool because it looks like a big pincher claw, like a crab claw.
Yeah.
And it does slashing damage and it grapples.
Yes.
And then they have nets as well, I think, because they take people alive to eat them and sacrifice them.
Yeah.
There's also a different class as well.
Yes. And it's the Kuatoa get them and nobody else does, and it drives me crazy. Cleric assassins.
Yeah, they're called eyes.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
And if you've ever played a game with me, you're aware that Matt is extremely angry that there has never been a decent thief cleric hybrid, right? Because clerical hybrids have been bred for all other things.
Divine trickster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a proper divine trickster has never existed.
Mm-hmm. Now, their feudal theocracy also has commoners, and they do what commoners do, which is toil.
Yeah, they do the work.
And because it's a theocracy, we've got lots of what?
Sacrifices.
Many and varied.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the Kutoans that get sacrificed, and hopefully it's anything else but a Kutoan that gets sacrificed for them.
Yes. But, if pickings are slim, then some of the commoners got to go.
They got to go. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some stats for Kuatoa.
They are varied.
And super cool.
Yes.
There are so many cool things. Now, again, we're just kind of throwing a bunch of them at you right now. It depends on the edition, and not all of them are in the edition that you're playing, probably 5th. But we think you should bring some of these back. First off, let's talk about a couple examples. All of them are in every version, they're amphibious.
Yes. In, I think, every version, or at the very least most of them, they have otherworldly perception.
Tell me what otherworldly perception is, Matt.
They can see invisible creatures. They can see ethereal creatures out to 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
They have keen eyesight that automatically detects illusions and figments for what they are. It is sometimes depicted as true sight out to 30 feet.
Now, I want you guys to think about this because that's one of the few, I'd say, primaterial humanoids that can see ethereal straight off the jump.
Yeah, or even permanent see invisibility is super rare.
Yeah, that's super cool. They also have eyes on the side of their head, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that because you could upgrade their seeing ability even more.
Sure.
They are slippery.
Right.
Because they're oily. And their hands create adhesive oils, which they usually attach to like shields or something like that, so that when you smack them with your sword sticks to their shield, and then they hit you with their pincher staff.
And then you're stuck.
And then you're stuck forever.
I would also, in modern games, cause that for them to have automatic advantage on any disarm attempts.
I would allow that. Yeah, that'd be great. What are some other cool things about Kuatoas?
They are immune to poisons and paralysis, including hold spells.
Slippery little guys.
Very. They are magically slippery.
Like that little weak-willed, pot-bellied looking fish guy can definitely squirrel himself away. Get out of your range. Get out of that grapple.
Yep. They're awful.
They're awful. Now, like most Underdark creatures, they're sensitive to sunlight.
Sure.
And we mentioned a little bit about this subconscious belief. Due to illithid warfare, they were rendered insane, but the side effect is that the more they believe in something collectively, the more likely it was to become true.
Yes.
And this is why certain editions explain why certain clerics are more powerful than others. They just get like a following, and they just become super duper powerful.
Yep. And if they end up in a place where they can really solidify, then they can just continue to ratchet up that faith, which ratchets up their power, which proves that their faith is correct, which ratchets up the faith.
Yep. And in terms of game style DMs, this really just equates to DM fiat, whatever the hell you want it to be.
And if you get the opportunity, read Night Below.
Yeah, because Night Below talks a little bit about this as well. That's really cool stuff.
They have contagious madness.
Yeah, now it's within their species.
Right.
Yeah, if a couple of them go a little insane, then it might spread to everybody else. Again, because they see things that no one else can see.
But the thing about that is if a large Kutoan city, under this fervor, bumps into a small Kutoan city, what this means is you now have a large Kutoan city.
Mm-hmm. Just like oil just kind of makes a bigger oil drop. Yeah. Oh, and did we mention they have spells?
Oh, yeah.
And class abilities because they're a society of humanoids.
Yes. deal. Well, we did mention like the clerics and such, but any 2 or more Kuatoan clerics can create a stroke of lightning every few rounds without spells. They
just because they can.
Yeah, because they believe.
Yeah.
That there's lightning where you're standing.
It's a big divine you.
Yes.
And it works for them.
When you invent your own god, you also invent where he's angry.
So right off the bat, and DMs may never have even played with Kutoans. And we think you should. What makes these things interesting? First off, insane Cthulhu sacrificing fish folk.
Yes.
What more do I have to say?
Yeah.
Like, they're awesome.
If you want to run a Call of Cthulhu game in 5e, yes, I know some people do, some people don't, whatever. These are the perfect guys for you, though.
Yes.
There's a lot of flexibility built into them because they're a society of humanoids. You can literally vary their power just by giving them class levels or how many class levels or what types of combinations you decide to give them because they're humanoids.
And they're super duper evil.
Yeah. Just congratulations. Here's a empire to topple.
Yeah. Because they literally sacrifice intelligent creatures.
Yes. They are a great opponent for a murder hobo party.
And if you need any other reasons, fish monks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Some people just need to be fish slapped.
Yeah. Yes. You can literally be fish slapped by a fish monk. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Selhagen.
All right. Sahagan are also known as sea devils. They are an evil ocean species of fish people.
Sea devils.
Yeah.
You be going down into the deep to Davy Jones' locker. The sea devils be sacrificing you as well. And guess what? They're described as fish people.
Shocking.
Much like, yeah. Now, the difference between Kuatoa and Sahagan is they're usually muscular fish people. Like they've been to the gym and worked out with weights.
I wonder if that was literally the reason that they make Kuatoans spindly and pot-bellied, is so that there'd be a descriptive difference between the two.
Maybe so. They're also a little taller. They're about a foot taller, so 6 foot, 200 pounds. They've got web hands and feet. They also have little web things going on next to where their ears should be.
Sure.
They kind of look like Merman from He-Man.
Yeah. Okay.
In some depictions, and
Sure.
others, they make them even more fishy, the big fish heads. They've got a long fish tail.
Some of them are 9 foot tall and even more impressive.
Yeah, the Hercules version of the Sahagan.
Yeah, you need the big brothers.
Now, they're generally depicted as green-skinned, darker on the back, lighter on the belly.
Sure.
Some of them have stripes. Some of them have spots. You know, like they're fish, right?
Right.
I think the females have yellow streaks in them and stuff.
Yeah. Spotted sea bass. Why not?
Yeah,
We'll just-
why not? And they get a little faded when they get older, just like regular fish. So I thought that was a good touch in terms of definition and description.
Yeah, I'm going to have some. The next time I send them out, I'm going to have like rainbow trout Sahagan.
Rainbow trout Sahagan. Think
Sure.
about that. Why not? Let's talk a little bit about some lore for the Sahagan.
All right. Another old school D&D, Blackmore, and what, 1975?
Yeah, it's a little first edition there. They were known as sadistic and cannibal creatures created by chaotic deities.
Yes.
And that was straight up, we created these because you guys created a bunch of good creatures. So we're going to make these guys.
Right. In some places, they were created by drow or from drow or other evil humans.
Yeah. And then I think, 5e, they come from the plane of water.
Yeah.
Which, that's fine. That thematically fits.
Yep. And if you think about the cosmology thing, right? There are places where the shadow fell and the evil planes brush up against the plane of water. That would be
Perfect place for them to be.
Yes, if you want them to actually be evil and if you want them to be sea devils, then that would be the perfect explanation for that.
They revere the great shark Sokola,
Yeah, man.
the Uncola. They basically revere this gigantic shark. And interestingly enough, at least in 3rd edition, I don't know if they still do it in 5th, it used to be in Stygia, where Levistus' realm was, and it would swim in the waters underneath the frozen ice, and all of its petitioners would swim alongside it, and sometimes they would eat its petitioners, which is kind of cool.
Sure.
It's basically Jaws. They worship Jaws.
Just a great, enormous
Big ass
Jaws.
shark. Yeah, why not?
And something to keep in mind about them is basically they hate everything but sharks. They just, that's how deep into their religion they are.
They live to consume, to eat. Interestingly enough, they also hate magic, with the exception of like their priestesses, to the extent they will target magic users over others if possible.
Yes. Even if it's tactically unsound, they don't care. The second you drop that magic missile, you have signed your death warrant.
Yeah, they're like, that guy.
His whole face gotta
I'm
go.
gonna bite his face off, sacrifice him to Sokola, the Uncola. I can't help myself. That's what it sounds like every time I hear it.
They're technologically proficient. They have smithing.
Mm-hmm. They're not some backwater fish race. Oh, no.
No.
They've got TVs and stuff.
And if you're playing in a campaign that has firearms, allow me to pitch, they should have spear guns.
Absolutely. And if you're playing D20 Modern or Shadowrun or something else and you want to throw these guys into that game, I want to throw to you this. There are undersea cables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about that. Hackers. Sahagan hackers.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. They're pirates.
Yeah.
They're pirates.
Yeah.
They steal wares.
They could also hack
They
into
could be pirates or they could be pirates.
They could hack into cruise ships to mess with their navigation so that the cruise ships sink so that they can eat all the people on board.
And they got a nice place to live afterwards.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Much like the Kutoans, they have a hierarchical underground society. It's patriarchal, so they have kings ruling over princes and barons and so forth.
Their classes generally include rangers and clerics. And they are fond also of capturing weapons, but instead of having the pincer staves, they use tridents and nets.
They're very Romanesque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about their stats, Matt. What are some examples that we have? Are they amphibious, much like the Kutoans?
They are, but only for about 4 hours.
Yeah, so they basically store the water in their lungs and they got to go rehydrate.
Right. They have keen hearing underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Their ears are very sensitive and they can pick up underwater sound to a range of 10 miles.
Now, that was first edition, and they never heard from it again, I think. But that's something you should bring back.
Maybe not 10 miles.
Maybe not 10 miles.
But
that's a long way.
That is ludicrous. Although sound does travel twice as far in water.
And yeah, so I mean, like whales can hear very far away. So it's not too insane to do that.
And I guess generally when you're dealing with ocean going stuff, the sizes that you're dealing with, the distances are enormous. So yeah, maybe, you know what? Keep it. Screw it. I was wrong.
Yeah, there you go. They also have keen underwater sight, and it ranged, depending upon the version, from dark vision to being able to see a mile or more underwater.
Yep.
Also ridiculous.
Yes.
But potentially useful.
We mentioned this. Shark telepathy and command.
Yeah, so they're Aquaman.
Yes,
but
only for sharks.
Only for sharks. They have light sensitivity because, again, they're an underground race as well. They live in underground cities and such.
Yeah. They have blood frenzy.
Yeah, blood frenzy was 3rd edition, I recall.
Mm-hmm.
They have multi-attack, and depending upon the version, a rear leg attack. I think that was like 2nd edition. So they could like attack, claw, and then they do like this kick, which rends. Rare.
Just like that.
Just
like a cat.
Except with a fish person doing it.
In 5th edition, they have advantage on wounded enemies. So if they have wounded an enemy, they gain advantage on every attack after that.
I'm making Sahagan nothing
but rogues.
Sure. The entire time.
Or barbarians, honestly.
Barbarians would be great too.
Because it means that they don't have to do their attack that causes them to have disadvantage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically every attack.
And finally, mutations. Now, most of the mutations, if they see them, they get killed because they don't like mutations. But there are 2 that they keep. And I'll talk about the first one. 1 in every 216. Very specific number, by the way. I want to know why it's 1 in every 216. has extra arms. They're called barons. So they're like a 4-armed Sahagan. And these are considered blessed. And then 1 in every 100 look like sea elves. Except they have like greenish silver skin, and they're called Malenti.
Yes, they look like sea elves. That's super important because they can be used as spies, or they're also used as warriors and clergy.
Yeah. In fact, they're one of the few casting classes in the Sahagan.
Right. But they're okay with priests and priestesses. They're just not so much okay with arcane casters or basically any other
If you've got a spell pouch, man, they're going to slit your throat.
Yeah.
Get you. Now, if all of that wasn't interesting, what makes these guys interesting? First off, evil fish Aquaman.
Okay.
Or Namor, if you're going Marvel Universe, a Submariner.
Sure. They are more evil, but less crazy than the Kuto.
Yeah. I would say they'd be great for underwater espionage campaigns, being able to infiltrate sea elves and such, or the surface.
Yeah. That could be a lot of fun. They are intelligent, they are willful, and they are mean.
Spiteful.
Yeah. And they hate you because you're not a shark.
Yeah. Pretty much. You're not a shark, they're gonna sacrifice you to the god below. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about Kuto and Selhagen, but we'll be right back.
After these messages. This episode brought to you by your friendly neighborhood dice makers. Please take a look at their wares. They're great folks.
This is a commercial break. If you guys would like to hear us review something like a product or service, or if you'd like us to cover something like a topic,
Or if you'd like to sponsor an episode, we'd love to hear from you and have you contact us at info@goblinscorner.com.
so write to us and maybe we'll talk to you. Maybe not. And we're back.
Welcome back.
So we're talking Kuto and Sahuagin.
Yes, indeed, for our spring break special.
Spring break, woo! Yeah, it just comes right out of the deep and just drags you under. And we talked a little about the lore. You love that, don't you?
Oh, my brain was just like the scene splash, right? Like at the front of the start of the movie. It's like terror at Club La Vila, like little Daytona Beach action.
Some kid with water wings Sahaga just comes out with the surfboard, clubs him with the surfboard, drags him down.
Sure.
That'd be awesome. There's a Kuatoa just kind of chilling at the pool. He's got a drink in his hand because he ain't gonna go anywhere. He's pudgy.
He's busy dreaming up something to cause all of these people to die, so he doesn't have to stand up to do it.
Hell yes, that is exactly what that Kuatoa would be doing. Yeah, except for the monks, which I don't see them as flabby.
No.
They're kind of lean, mean fish machines.
Or, they could 100% be the, like, chubby monk from the Kung Fu movies.
Oh, like Kung Fu Panda?
Well, no.
I'm thinking like a fish version of Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, see, I was thinking like Kung Fu Gold, how there's always like that one older guy who's got like the rigid beer gut.
Oh, yeah.
But he's still spindly.
Big old round belly.
Yep.
Yeah. We're diverging wildly tonight. But
well, we're getting to talk about upgrading them, so
yeah. So we've got a couple of ideas and thematics and maybe some numeric advantages as well to make these guys even better.
Absolutely.
Now, in the first half, we went into the history and the lore and some of the stats. And to be perfectly honest, you really don't need to upgrade them too much.
Right. And depending on where your players are in their arcs.
If you play them right.
Yes.
You play them right. They all have class abilities, so you could just up the class.
Yeah.
But what if we want to make them just a little bit better, Matt? What could we do? We've got a couple options for that.
Sure. It's almost like that's why we're here.
I know, right?
So let's start off with tweaking some of the class options, right?
Okay.
Kuatoan monks. We mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they're astral fist monks.
Astral fist monks.
Yes.
I love that.
And it makes total sense considering their brains operate on multiple planes.
They can see ethereal and invisible. Why not make them an astral monk?
Yeah.
This pudgy-looking fish guy comes up to you and beats your ass with a bunch of invisible hands.
I'm sure.
That would be great.
Catch these fins.
Get you, fish guy. Kuto and Trickster Cleric Assassins.
Yeah.
Let's multi-class that.
Absolutely. 100%. That's all it needs to say right there. That covers it. Sounds delicious. A Sahagan Malenti rogue spy.
So it looks like the Sea Elves.
Right.
Infiltration, but they're assassins.
Now you could do the assassin subclass. You can also do the mastermind subclass.
Ooh, they would be good masterminds, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And because they get advantage whenever they wound somebody, I was thinking they start with a little salvo if they were assassins of like a poison dart, and then just proceed to backstab the ever-living out of them after that.
Yeah. You lead with your assassination attack and then just
call it a day.
Murder
Hobo it all the way through. And finally, a barbarian Sahagan, the Baron, the one with the 4 arms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And pick a path.
Pick a barbarian.
Pick a barbarian path, right? Pack of the Beast would be great. Then you get slashing attacks and bite attacks. Pack of the Storm Herald because they're be casting lightning down from the depths of a ship. Or Totem Warrior.
Yeah. Pick a totem.
You could honestly do any of them, and they would be perfectly fine because they would be awesome. What we're talking about here is lean on these class abilities.
Yeah, they've already stated that they have classes. Play them like for real classes.
And these are just a couple of examples. You could go straight fighter with a couple of them, with either Kuatoa or Sahagan.
Sure.
Easily.
They are intelligent creatures.
Cleric, you could go any direction with the cleric.
You can also do abilities from previous editions or just slightly tweak the abilities that they currently have.
Absolutely. And this is one of those monster episodes where we don't just start stacking on different things. We're literally just saying they already have enough.
Yeah,
they've got flavor. Just turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
Let's give a couple of examples of what we're talking about here. So first off, we've already mentioned that they have eyes that are on both sides of the head for Kutoas, right?
Right.
They move independently, and they can already see ethereal, and they can see invisible. So it would not be a stretch to just make them unflankable. Like they have like all-around vision.
Sure. That makes sense.
That'd be the easiest thing. But we could kick it up a notch.
We could. You could give them X-ray vision.
Why not?
Which is awful. But as mentioned before, they have had true seeing. You can just give it back to them.
Yeah, and that would be easy to do. Now, if they can see ethereal, why not see astral or see the shadow plane or any of the planes that touch?
The transitives, sure.
Sure, why not? The most important thing that I would do if I were playing a Kutoan is, as a DM, play up the belief ability.
Yes.
Give them that. Because, I mean, that is so much as a DM. I've just dreamed up a weapon that can kill you. Or I've dreamed up some kind of drug that I'm going to poison the surface world with. Or I've dreamed up this eldritch deity that suddenly popped into existence.
Absolutely. The other thing that allows you to do is it allows you to give the opportunity to your clever players to use that against them.
Yes, because if they can convince the Kuatoas of something, enough of them, it will become true.
Yes.
So mechanically, that works very easy. It's limited wish,
yeah,
or miracle or whatever.
And if you somehow manage to convince an entire empire, then you know what?
Want to rework some reality?
Yeah, maybe you are the deity.
Maybe so. Get a little crazy with it, right? Oh, can you imagine a party of adventurers that shape change or illusion themselves to be Kutoa deities?
So you know what the problem with that is? The problem with that is if they believe you, then you become Kuatoan deities.
That's a good point.
Right? Because you don't get to pick and choose the bits they believe.
and they're sacrificing people to you as well. So you're going to probably shift a little bit to the alignment axis of evil.
Now, if you could manage, if you're playing heroes, if you could manage to convince them that you were the first good Kuatoan deity,
that would be interesting.
you're still probably going to end up permanently a fish person of some sort. But if you're okay with that, you're okay with that.
There you go.
It's for the greater good.
It's true. What are some other things we can maybe turn up to 11 in terms of abilities they already have?
Slippery skin.
Okay.
They've got it. How about using it to duplicate like grease spells or something in that area? Why not basically give them freedom of movement for that matter? They can't be webbed or
tied up or something like that. Yeah, that makes perfect
up.
sense. Or even move through small spaces because they're cavernous creatures. So maybe they can just move in tight space. Yeah, they squick through.
Long as their skull can fit through.
That's right.
Make them rats.
For that matter, they've got the sticky oil on their palms, which they put on their shields. Why not have them be able to make traps like web? They just basically, tap a couple of things out.
Sure.
And those squares are now covered with sticky resin or whatnot.
I can see that. You could also literally
Spider-Man that.
Well, have them put it on a web.
Oh, that would be cool.
Or not on a web, on a net. And then chuck the net at them. And you get disadvantage for being able to remove the net because it's stuck to you like a web.
It'd be like a net full of super glue.
Yes.
That would suck. Or a duct tape net.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's a duct tape net. We've just come up with a new magical item, Matt.
Write that down.
Writing it down now.
You could upgrade their lightning ability.
Instead of once every couple rounds, maybe more powerful versions of lightning like chain lightning or call lightning.
Or if you add more clerics, they can either do it more often or they upcast to the next level or however you want to play it, right? Just play around with it.
Yeah. And finally, you could make their contagious madness contagious to not just Kuatoas.
Sure.
Make that madness contagious to other people.
Yep.
And spread the disease. That would be a really fun adventure where people just start randomly spouting off ridiculous stuff and dreaming up crazy stuff. And for whatever reason, they start dreaming something up and it exists. There's a demon in my house and there's like a little imp now.
Yeah. You could have a lot of fun with that, especially if it's something you could eventually save from. So the more people that are infected, the more chance that you're not going to be able to save, right? Just because of environment.
Right.
But early on, somebody gets it and then they get over it a week later. That doesn't change the fact that the imp is still in the house.
Still chilling.
Right.
Causing mass destruction or quasit or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. Could be a lot of fun trying to figure out what the problem is and how to deal with it.
It would be great if you specify it's a small town with no magic users.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, where the hell did this guy come from? Is there like a portal underneath or something? No. He was just out fishing one day and he got bit by a Kuatoa.
And what could be even more fun than that is literally make it a single Kuatoa, like one that got lost or separated from his people. And now he's basically making his own crazy colony of by himself.
Oh, that would be great. We're going to run something like that. Love that. All right, let's talk a little bit about upgrading a Sahagan.
All right. First off, shark telepathy. You just give them animal telepathy.
So underwater animal control.
Right.
So turn them into Aquaman.
Sure.
Yeah, that's easy. And how deadly would that be? Not only are you fighting the Sahagan, you're also fighting everything in the immediate vicinity.
Sure.
So giant squid.
School of Minnows is just trying to blind you.
The murder orcas are going to come after you very quickly.
Yes.
A lot of options there. Manta rays, flapping you to death.
Eels.
Those damn eels. Every time.
Stingrays.
Now, you could even bump it up a notch and have it also control or charm underwater monstrous creatures or even humanoid underwater creatures like sea elves. To basically work for charm person for anything aquatic. They get a save.
Yeah. You could make that one of the specialty ones.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the Baron.
Yeah. Or even just make a third one.
Oh, that would be cool, yeah.
You can also do something simple like give them a bite attack. Give them their claws are naturally slashing weapons.
So just make them more deadly in terms of fighting.
Yeah.
Nothing special, right? We're not giving them any crazy powers, but we're definitely making them deadlier opponents. And they really are, that's kind of how they were written out to be anyway. They're just vicious and mean. Make them more vicious and mean. Now, one thing I was considering in terms of making them more vicious and mean, if you've got the barons, the four-armed giants,
Sure.
give them a grapple attack. They've got 4 arms. Give them grapple.
Yeah, they should
If
have
they
it.
succeed on more than 2 hits, they automatically grapple or rend. Just tear them asunder.
I mean, like, they should have it. Just flat out. Anything with more arms that is intelligent enough to use that would use it.
Yeah.
More mutations. More of them.
So bigger bite.
Sure. Longer reach. Fast movement.
Yeah. Any of the physical mutations would be lots of fun. Give them an extra head, like Etten.
Sure.
2 Sahagan heads. That'd be really cool. The extra bite attack. You could give them even more limbs to make them swim faster, or I don't know, use something ridiculous. Maybe give them a central eye that blocks magic. Shoots laser beams.
Give them some shark abilities.
Oh, yeah. Make them more shark-like would be a great option.
Yeah.
And again, none of this is, particularly out of the range of any typical alterations. I mean, this is pretty easy stuff.
Yeah.
What are some other things we could do to increase Sahagan and Kuatoas?
Both of these creatures have civilizations. You can beef up their sophistication, right? They've got military, like proper militaries.
Like orders of military. They have like a navy and an air force and such.
Sure.
Why not?
Which also means you can give them numbers.
Mm-hmm. Give them a nation.
Yes.
Look, they both had societies. Now, theoretically, the Kuatoa society collapsed, but what if there's a great resurgence of the Kuatoas?
It literally takes just a city bumping into the territory of another city, bumping into the territory
Instead of
another
Field of Dreams, you have Cave of Dreams, where they just dream up more Kuatoas.
Sure.
And now they've got a city because all of them believe that there are more Kuatoas.
All it takes is a Kuatoa that has just a spark of understanding, right? We just need more people and we can raise our great empire again. Soon we will find more people. And then
They start finding
they
more
start
people.
finding more people.
Yeah. Soon we will rise above the depths and retake the surface world. And sure enough, the city's rising.
It's literally just like a giant bubble, but through the stone. It's literally just rising up.
That would be awesome. Think about that. That what a cool way to do that. Just making them more sophisticated. With the Sahagans, they're just military might. Maybe they've amassed an army. They're riding monstrous sea creatures. They've got some krakens on their side. They've got what is it? What are the sea devil, the sea rays that are devils?
It's the Chittle.
Yeah,
I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but that's how it's kind of spellish.
close enough. They're vampiric manta rays.
Yes.
Maybe they've got those on their side. They're just waging war under the sea. Nobody knows. They've already taken over half of the ocean. You don't know. You're land creatures. Most of your adventurers do not do ocean quests. And then all of a sudden, they start raiding the shores.
Right. Until the port cities lose contact with the sea elves, you don't know. And the second that happens, how long do you have to lose contact before you like, oh, wait, it's been a month. It's been, right? Because on week 1.
It's time to start the Red Tide campaign.
Yeah, basically.
You could make them just not be one-dimensional.
Sure.
Instead of making them straight up evil civilizations, give them, sure, the society's overall mean, right? Just like Drow.
Yeah.
But just like Drow, you could have good Drow. So you could have good Kuatoas, good Sahagans, or neutrally aligned creatures as well, or give them different ideologies, or give them different, I don't know, gods they could pray to. Make them varied and interesting.
Well, we just discussed that about the Kuatoans, right? You have one good Kuatoan, And if he's the more charismatic or the more wise of his small little group, that contagious madness will cause them to start believing from in his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And the more of them you collect, the more you collect, right? It becomes, what's the video game with the guy that rolls up all of this?
Katamari Damacy.
There you go.
You roll them up into a Katamari ball?
Yep.
But instead of Katamari balls, you have Kutoans?
Yep.
Kuto and Damacy?
Sure.
Why not? That'd be fun. What about like a happy-go-lucky Kuto? It's just chilling.
Yeah. It's the one.
His name's Bob.
It's the one at the nightclub.
He's got a Jimmy Buffett shirt on. You can Matt see he's got shorts and a Jimmy Buffett t-shirt.
Absolutely. And he's holding a pina colada.
Absolutely, he is. Got a little straw hat on. Oh God, we need an illustrator to draw that up for us. I want that on our wall.
Little parrot nearby.
Absolutely, yeah, a little parrot just kind of chilling. What would the Sahagan be? The Sahagan would be like a Venice Beach muscle guy.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that.
See him with like a weight set, just pumping iron. It's so ridiculous. But how cool would that be to have just like some rando creatures like that they're not bad. They're just chilling.
I'm just out here trying to inspire people to get healthy, you know.
Yeah, we're going to rename this Muscle Beach. What are you talking about? We get you guys fit as a fish.
Absolutely.
Have a Sahagan sushi chef just chopping up fish. Be awesome. Yeah. And finally.
But he doesn't serve shark.
That's right. No shark meat on that menu. And finally, you could just give them new abilities and skills.
Yeah.
And this is something we've done with a lot of our other monsters, but we could go specific with some of this stuff. So, for example, both classes don't really have arcane casters.
Right.
Give him arcane casters.
Now, so for Sahagan, makes sense. But for Kuatoa, why not? It makes perfect sense for them to have some form of arcane caster.
Yeah. And you could do it for Sahagan too, but then you'd have to change their lore that they don't hate magic users, or there's a reason why they're using magic users. Maybe in the lore, they finally have gotten over their hatred of them and are using it for their benefit.
Sure.
Maybe they're still killing other mages, just not their mages.
Yeah, it's not like that's unheard of.
No. So think about a warlock patron of the deep, an eldritch knight, an arcane trickster.
And all it takes is one little hiccup, and some guy has accidentally created his own patron, signed a deal with a guy he invented last night because he was drunk on his margarita or his pina colada.
Dreamed up a warlock patron.
He dreamed up his own patron.
Yeah, it's Jimmy Buffett. There you go. Matt's writing that up tonight.
Let's go ahead and write that.
Go ahead and write that down. How about a Kuto and Diviner? They can already see ethereal.
Sure.
I mean, what an awesome
that much of a step.
That'd be an awesome diviner.
Wild mage.
A wild mage.
Both of these are considered like mad style, especially the Kuatoans, who are literally written as eldritch horror, like absolutely bug nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, wild mage, 100%.
How about a mage slayer class for Sahagan?
Now, that makes even more sense. Like, just counter spells for all day, just because you're an asshole DM. That's why. The spells and counter spells. It's the only spells they get.
This guy comes out of the water and he's pissed. He pushes the barbarian aside and just strides straight to the wizard. The wizard's like, "Huh, what's going on?" Sahagan's just pumping iron in one hand. He's got a trident in the other. Venice Muscle Beach t-shirt on his chest.
Yep. Brains the mage with a kettlebell.
Yeah.
Okay. What about some freaking water powers?
Yeah. I love freaking water powers.
Both of these guys fit directly into the Temple of Elemental Evil mentality space. Why not? Why would they not have water powers?
Yeah. And finally, you could lean on the infernal or demonic packs. You could have them be infernal or demonic. So I would see Sahagan to be more infernal.
Yeah.
And then
Kutoans.
Abyssal.
Yep.
Demonic. So those are just a couple of options. There's way more, but I would definitely lean on their current abilities and maybe flavor it or sprinkle in a couple of extras because, honestly, they're really cool if you play them right. Give them tactics. Give them, take that next logical step.
Sure. If they've already got classes, they're already intelligent creatures, just vary out those classes. That's literally all you need to do to make them more interesting or more powerful. These aren't something that you have to completely change up or stack things on. They're self-sufficient creatures.
Hanging out, chilling.
Yep.
Now, finally, we have some story possibilities like we do when we do these episodes. And I think some of these are really interesting. Try these for your campaign.
How about a strange sea elf comes ashore with the intention of establishing a trade route in local waterways? Is it really a sea elf? Or is it a ruse from a Malinti?
Yeah, could it be a Malinti? Sahagan in disguise? Maybe so. How about a local fisherman goes out one day and then comes back changed? Does he have the madness from the Kuatoans? Is he turning into a Kuatoa? Or maybe he fell under some prey spell, right? From a Sahagan. That'd be kind of cool.
Clerics of blittle boop boop badoop
Blah, 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 blah. Clerics of blah, 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 blah.
or Sakola, the Uncola,
The Uncola.
start a holy war against the surface world, and they have the armies to do so.
Mm-hmm. Red tide, buddy.
Yep.
Sea metal, a rare refined substance found only in the deepest oceanic trenches, allows for fast portal creation. Adventurers must brave the Sahagan or broker a deal with them to acquire it.
It's that simple.
Yeah, it's a find item quest.
Yep. And how do you broker a deal with people that hate you?
You give them something that they hate even more, like wizards.
We'll give you, did you know?
Did you know this paladin will drown without your help?
They'd just be like, sounds great.
That sounds great. Let's drown him. Did you know this wizard comes along with this paladin? He's his flotation device. Let's kill the wizard and the paladin at the same time.
What I was going to say is, we can give you directions to a coastal wizard school.
Oh, yeah. Hey, now that's a great idea.
Bonus points if it's from a nation that your nation's at war with.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the ocean version of Harry Potter is just sitting and having this little class. What is it like? It's like the ocean Strixhaven, and all of a sudden at night, the sea devils come, climbing the walls and murdering people in their sleep.
A swarm of Kuatoa have birthed a powerful entity from their mad dreams. Maybe that's how the Far Realm came about.
Maybe that's how aberrations came about.
Could
They
be.
dreamed up some ridiculous stuff. Maybe that's how beholders came about.
Could be.
They had a nightmare, beholder came about, and it dreams up other stuff too. Think about this. Beholders and Kuatoans together dreaming up crazy.
Sounds awful.
That sounds awesome.
It sounds like we now need a Beholder Toa.
A beholder Toa.
A Kua holder?
Wouldn't that be a Eye of the Deep?
Yeah, I suppose it would. But I was thinking more like actual beholder shape or actual Kuatoa shape. Maybe that's what their pot belly is. It's actually a beholder. Just
Oh my God. They just rub their belly and a central eye opens up. That would be great. How ridiculous is that? Oh God.
DMs, you're welcome. Players,
The mental image is
Good luck.
awesome. He's still got his margarita though. He's ready to go. His daiquiri. Sailors shipwreck onto a strange island where the villagers are all Kuatoa and insert species living in harmony.
it should be a species that absolutely doesn't work, like deck apes or.
Oh, how does he? Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Or even, I would even say like halflings.
Sure. They don't seem like they'd get along normally.
Wasting away again in Margaritaville, just rubbing his belly and the central eye opens up. I can't get over that mental image, man. Oh, that's great.
A large wave of drown, the sea zombies,
Mhm.
comes marching out of the waves to attack fishing villages. What's the source?
Could be Sahagan, could be Kuatoans.
Both have clerics.
Yeah, they both got clerics. A completely uncrewed ship drifts in to a major port, devoid of any signs of violence, any signs of damage, and with everything on the manifest still intact, but no people. That's a great start of an adventure right there.
Absolutely.
Little murder mystery to solve.
Yeah. A Kuatoan spiritualist promises an object of your heart's desire and has collected a cult following.
He's dreaming up everything that you believe in. Got a little cult following. They're dreaming up everything. And the madness is spreading.
Yep.
And then he rubs his belly and the central eye opens up. Can't get over it, man. It's such a great mental image. He just rubs his belly and the eye opens up and just all magic is gone. And then the Sahagans come out of the ocean and brain the wizard to death with a weight.
Sure. The kettlebell.
A little kettlebell. Just kill him with the kettlebell. So there you have it. Just a couple options, some lore, thematics, and of course ways to upgrade your Kuto or Selhagen for your D&D game, or Pathfinder game, or any other game you want.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? Write to us. info@goblinscorner.com, or you can reach me, Eric@goblinscorner.com, or
me, Matt@goblinscorner.com.
We're on all the things. Matt, what are some things we're on?
Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Twitch.
As Goblins Corner.
And Instagram.
As The Goblins Corner. Do you like our show? Please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite player, YouTube and Twitch.
If you could click the 5 stars or give us a review on iTunes or Podchaser. And if you're watching us on YouTube, if you could do the whole like, subscribe, and comment, all of the YouTube things, we'd appreciate it very much. Notifications, you got to ring the bell because the subscribe button does nothing for you, only for us. So
That's
we'd
right.
appreciate it. It boosts our show, and it feeds the hungry algorithm.
Just currently rubbing his belly and exposing the central eye. I laugh every time. Oh, God.
Have you ever noticed that the episodes that are crazier in material also cause us to be crazier in nature?
It's just a coincidence. That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name's Eric.
And I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, folks.
The Goblins Corner has been written and produced by Eric Holden.
And Matt Staples.
D20 did our music.
And this is, in fact, a subterranean production.
Your voice is so low.